Hello folks, welcome to the part 5 of Git Tutorials by workat.tech. In this part, we will look at few things like cloning a repository, undoing the changes, reverting the changes and resetting the changes that we made in our code base. So yeah, let's switch to my screen. Okay, so what we are actually going to do first is to actually use the Git Clone Command in order to actually clone a repository. So we won't be like making it complex, we'll be just cloning the same repository that we pushed to the GitHub in the previous part. Okay, so anyway, I'll just open my code editor first and then we can move forward. Okay. So what I'm actually going to do is we know that we actually named this particular folder as Git project, right? So I'm actually going to create a new folder that is new folder over here. Maybe something like cloned project. Okay, yeah, so we actually created that particular thing under this particular folder. Okay, so now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go to the terminal. Okay, basically you can either use your git bash UI or the terminal within the code editor. Okay, so as you can see over here, I'm within this particular thing, and now what I'm actually going to do next is let's go to the repo, basically any repo where you actually want to work at. Okay, so over here you can just get the ID, like the cloning URL from here. Okay, and then come back over here. You can actually, so as of now you can see that this particular folder is empty. This is the other file that is actually coming under Git project. Okay, directly under Git project. Okay, yeah, so I'm actually going to type in git clone and then I'm going to paste the URL over there, and then I'm actually entering, and then it's showing that cloning into Git projects, and now that is actually done. And now as you can see over here, clone project, under the clone project there is one particular folder called as Git projects, and under that there is this particular thing called as demo. Okay, so that was regarding cloning. Now let's actually continue with another concept, that is undoing a change in our code base. Okay, so we actually back with the other folder where we actually was actually doing this particular thing. Okay, in the last part also. So yeah, I'm actually going to add one more simple part to this particular code. Basically const b is equal to let's say 2. If b is equal to 2, console.log b is 2, else what if b is not 2? If b is not 2, then the value of b is b. Okay, we actually added this particular line of code. Okay, so right now we only have like, let's say 6 lines of code. Okay, basically 7 lines of code change. Okay, from 12 to 18. Okay, so anyway, let's look at it. Okay, so let me just open the terminal. Okay, the command is git checkout demo.js. okay, so this is applicable, so this is to hyphen, so basically minus. Okay, basically what it means is to actually remove all the changes. Okay, and all the changes that we actually made since the last commit. Okay, so basically this particular command will work only if the changes that we made is not staged or basically not committed. Okay, and if that is not done, then we can actually easily remove it. Okay, so if I'm actually going to right now we have code from line number 12 to 18, and if I'm actually going to let's say enter it, that particular change is gone. Okay, so right now those 7 lines of code is gone. Okay, so you might think like what is the requirement to actually what can I say, remove that that 7 lines of code using this particular command, right? But the thing is like this is just a demo this particular project is for demo purpose. Okay, the real code base that you might be working on later on will be really big. Okay, so for an example, so I'm actually going to let's say we right now have 228 lines of code. Okay, and then I'm actually going to add over here console dot log hello world. Okay, so right now we actually have a lot of change, right? So if someone is actually looking at this particular thing before committing it, then like right now that's actually a lot of changes, right? So instead of then going in and like trying to figure out what all were the new changes, they can actually just go ahead and remove those particular changes. Okay, right. So now we actually back to where we actually started. Okay, just keep this in mind. This will work only if what can I say, like if this particular change is not what can I say again, committed. Okay. So another thing again that I can actually show is, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a new file, wait, index.html. okay, so this is an HTML file, and now what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to create a paragraph. This is a website. Okay, so I created this particular new file. Okay, so as of now we have two files over here, one demo.js. We haven't made any changes since the last commit. Basically we came across the undoing thing, and then we created this particular new file. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to let's say stage all these particular changes, and yep, git add. Since we have only two files, I'm actually going to use dot to actually add both of those particular files. Okay, so right now all those particular basically both demo.js, if there's any change in demo.js and then the new file change in index.html, both has been actually staged. Let's actually check it, git status, and now it's saying like new file index.html, that's actually being, it's staged, and yeah, it's not yet committed. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to commit the changes. Okay, git commit, what should be the message, created an HTML file. Okay, so we actually created that, and if you're checking the git log, that will actually show it. Okay, add an end of the program message, and then after that the comment is created an HTML file. Okay, so I'm just going to clear it. Okay, so yeah, that, oh, okay, so those are all the changes that's actually over there. So now what I'm actually going to do is now we have actually two files over here. I'm going to actually make changes in both of those particular things. I'm just going to add a simple console.log statement, console.log. This is the end of the program, and this is not the end of the program. Okay, so these are the changes that we made in demo.js, and in the index.js file I'm actually going to add an title, h1 title. This is a title. Okay, so we actually made changes to both these files. Okay, so if you are actually let's say checking the status, git status, we can see that there's actually changes in both of these files, but they are not yet staged or committed. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is coming back to the first command, basically checkout --, command, git checkout. If you are using --, and then giving demo.js, then that will actually change only, basically that will remove the changes that's present only in this one particular file. Similarly, instead of giving demo.js, if I'm going to give index.html, it's actually going to remove only the changes that was there in that particular file. Okay, so instead of giving the file name, what I'm actually going to give is I'm going to give dot, which again means that this particular command needs to be applied to all the files. Okay, so yeah, doing that, now the changes that we made in this particular file is gone. Similarly, now over here there's only this one particular paragraph over there. Okay, so that's what I actually wanted to cover in that particular part. Okay, again, if you are yeah, let's check the git status again. Git status, it's saying that nothing to commit, work tray is clean. Okay, now this message, basically your branch is ahead of git project /master by one commit, which basically means that since our last commit to the, let's say, GitHub, we actually created one more commit, right, which has this particular file. Okay, so that's what it's actually saying. So apart from that, everything else is clean. Okay, so that is regarding the method, basically the command by which we can actually undo the changes that we made in a file. Okay, so now let's look at let's say what we can actually do if we have already committed that particular change. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to add the h1 thing again, and then this is a title. Okay, what's happening over there? Yeah, this is a title. So now I am actually going to add this particular change. Okay, git add, basically this will add all the changes to the staging area, and then git commit, and then a message, added a heading to the index file. Okay, now we actually added that. Let's check the log also. Okay, yeah, so now it's actually giving all the necessary things, right? So now what can be done is if you are actually if you want to so this particular change is now committed. Okay, so as you can actually see over here, add a heading to the index. Well, this is the change that we actually added, and it's actually being listed in the log also since we actually committed it. So what if we actually want to let's say remove that particular committed change? Okay, let's try git checkout minus index.html. that will not work. Why? Because that was a committed change, and this particular command will work only if that particular change was not, let's say, staged and committed. Okay, so what can we do if we actually committed these changes and we want to actually remove that particular change? So in that particular case, we have this particular command called as revert, basically git revert. Okay, so in order to do that, we actually need one additional thing. So that is let's go to git log, and over here you can see that the yellow lines. Okay, these are the commit IDs. Okay, so this was the latest commit that we actually did let's say a couple of seconds ago, and this is the commit ID. Okay, starting with B and then ending with A for me. Okay, I'm going to copy that. Okay, so now I can actually move out of this thing. Yeah, and then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make use of the git revert command. Okay, so git revert. Now what I'm actually going to do is I have to actually give the commit ID. Okay, basically the ID of the commit that we actually want to be removed. Okay, so basically we want to actually remove this particular commit, basically adding a added a heading to the index file. Okay, so I'm actually selecting this particular commit ID. I'm actually going to give it over there, and then I'm actually going to enter it. Okay, and now that's gone. Okay, and yeah, okay, from here if you want to actually move out, what you actually have to do is just type colon Q, and you'll actually move out of that particular place. Yeah, so that particular change is gone. Okay, now if you are actually let me just clear this, or not needed. If I'm actually going to check the git log over there, it can say that like you can see that it's mentioning revert added a heading to the index file. Basically that particular change or the commit was reverted. Okay, so this particular thing is there, added a heading to the index file is there, and after that we actually reverted that particular change, which will take us back to the original file. Okay, so that is how we can actually we can actually remove one particular change if that has been already committed. Okay, so yeah, so one thing that you might have noticed is like when we actually use the command git revert and then the commit ID, it automatically removed that particular changes, and we were actually able to and when we check the log, that particular commit message was already there, right? And what if we just want to remove it and don't want the file to be committed again? In that particular case, what we can actually do is so for that particular thing we can actually make a change again. This is a website, we actually repeated the same thing again. I'm actually going to get so one more slight thing that I can actually mention over here is if we are actually going to use git commit am, and then I'm going to add the commit message, added second paragraph. Okay, so if you're actually doing that, then both adding to the staging area and committing the same will actually happen together. But the disadvantage of using this particular thing is this will be done to all the files, and yep, that will happen. Okay, yeah, so now that has both been staged as well as committed. So if you are checking the status, there's nothing to commit, everything is clean. So I'm just clearing it. Git log will actually say that added second paragraph is there. After reverting it, we actually added this particular second paragraph, so that is actually there. Okay, so now we can actually try to revert this particular change, but without actually committing it directly. Okay, so I'm going to do is get, yeah, before that we actually need the commit ID of this particular thing. Basically add second paragraph. Yeah, I copied that. Yeah, git revert, and now what I can do is git revert -n and then give the commit ID. Okay, basically of the commit that we actually have to revert. So basically what it does is it just says that you don't have, like, this particular thing doesn't have to commit itself after reverting the changes. So I'm actually doing that. That particular thing is gone. And now if you're actually checking the git log, it will just say that, like, yeah, it will just say that added second paragraph as the first thing, because that particular change was removed even after that was actually committed, but after removing the changes it didn't get committed again. Okay, if we are not using that particular -n thing, that particular change will be reverted and then it will get committed again. So we haven't done that over here. Okay, and if we want to actually make any changes after reverting it, basically this is the second paragraph. Okay, we actually made the correct changes, and now if required we can actually do all the necessary things. Okay, so basically git commit am added the paragraph. Okay, yep, so now git status, everything is clean, just clearing it. Git log will just say that added the paragraph, added second paragraph. After that we actually removed the changes and then actually recommitted it as this particular thing. Okay, so that is reverting the changes. If you are using a git revert and then the commit ID, it will just remove the previous changes that we actually committed and then commit it automatically. If you are using git revert -n and then give the commit ID, it will revert the changes but it will not get committed automatically. We'll have to do it manually. Okay, so that is regarding let's say removing the committed changes from the code base. Okay, so just think how much simple this particular thing is. So basically right now we are dealing with a really short file, but just think it about the use case when we're actually working on a really big project. Okay, let's say production scale project. Okay, it's really big, right? So that is how much easier VCS will actually make. Basically version control system will make it for us. Okay, so now what we are actually going to deal with next is basically resetting the code. Okay, so now let's again do git log. So we actually have a lot of changes over here, right? So what if we actually want to go to one of the previous changes? Okay, basically we just want to ignore all these changes and go back to, let's say, the part where we actually added a check. Okay, remember the check? Basically that was in demo.js and this was the check. Okay, after that we actually added all these particular things. Okay, so what if we actually want to go back to this particular check, like this particular thing, basically resetting the changes back to this particular commit. Okay, so after that, if you can see, we actually made 1 2 3 4 5 6. There has been around 6 commits. Okay, so we are actually going to reset all of that particular things. Okay, and how can we actually do that? So in order to reset this particular thing, what we can actually, basically by resetting, what I'm actually meaning is going back to a previous version. Okay, so before doing that, I'll just give you a brief idea about where this particular thing will be helpful. Okay, let's say you have a project and you're actually working on it. Let's say you actually made a lot of commits. At one particular point, you actually launched that particular project. Okay, after that you actually keep on improving that particular thing, and then again made a lot of commits, but you actually realize that all the commits that you actually made after this particular thing is actually making the project slower and slower, and you actually like looking forward to remove all the changes. Okay, So the best way to actually do is actually resetting it. Okay, basically going back to the previous version where the project was performing efficiently. Okay, so what you have to actually do is get the commit ID of that particular version, basically that particular commit, and then you can actually use the command reset. Okay, basically git reset, and that's what we're actually going to do over here. Okay, so git reset, then hard, basically we are hard resetting it, not hard resetting it, and then I'm going to give the commit ID over there. Okay, so I did that, and check what happened over here. The index.html file is gone. Okay, basically now you can see it's actually striked off, right? Basically that means that it's removed. Okay, now let's check git status. It's saying working tree is clean. I'm just clearing it. Let's check the git log. You can just see two changes. Okay, the first two changes: started the project and added a check. Okay, so that is the power of version control system, basically the reset command also. And just remember, if you are resetting it, it's a hard reset, all the changes will be gone. So this particular command should be used only if you doesn't need that particular, let's say, additional things. Okay, not things, additional changes that you actually made after, let's say, the commit. Okay, after one particular commit, yeah, so all the other changes, all the changes that we actually made after this particular added a check thing is actually gone now, including this particular file. You can see that there is no file over here, right? Yeah, so like it's visible over here, but that will actually be gone. Okay, so yeah, so that is actually regarding undoing the changes, and like before it was committed, undoing the changes after it is committed, and then basically going back to a previous version of the file. Okay, yeah, so that's it regarding this particular part, and let's actually check about branching and all those kind of things in the next video. Do subscribe to our channel in order to be notified whenever we are sharing a new video on our channel.